Zahid. I have two interests in this problem. One, because I'm an education technologist, and the other thing is my subject is new media and its social impact. I teach both at college and school levels, work with teachers. My question, primarily the education side, is that from kindergarten to the university level, I've been called in for trying to help out how to use the new media and new technologies. A lot of research goes on, a lot of searches go on. And you could be searching for terms for the sake of writing a paper on the subject. So I mean, as an example, at Educator University recently, I was telling them how you can use podcasting. And one of the subjects they chose in podcasting, the podcast is about the effects of terrorism. Obviously their research and their search would take them into terms like nuclear arsenals, chemicals, like anthrax, a number of things. They'll now all be on the Educator University or some university's computer, into the server. Several students. Is the university liable for having...
You're basically talking about using a computer to access information that is related to or is involved in the manufacture of weapons of mass destruction. So it doesn't have, it could be the manufacturing method, it could be the raw material, it could be the process, it may also be delivery mechanisms, maybe not. If you were to basically access any of that information automatically on your computer in Google or whatever else, that information is being copied into your cache and it comes onto your screen, so it's a copy. This law says that if you copy any information, any data information that is required for the manufacture of any weapons of mass destruction, biological or anthrax even, supposing you're looking for, supposing you're searching for plutonium, that would be a terroristic act.
Can you say that again?
And cyber terrorism has nothing to do with that.
Despite the fact that the purpose of this search was not to look at methodology for producing or manufacturing, but purely research to write a paper on how easy it is to have access to such material.
Good question. What you're saying is, what if you were trying to basically test things? I'll answer this in two forms. Yes, if you were trying to basically get that kind of information, that would again still be a terroristic act, definitely, because there's no room for any of this in the law. It doesn't give you a defense, one. Secondly, you bring up an interesting point. What if you were doing data interference, you were entering into computer systems, and you're doing all of this basically just as a what we call white hat attack. You were trying to do penetration testing for someone. If you were doing that, there's nothing in this law that in any way saves you from being taken to court if you're doing penetration testing, if you're testing a mechanism. So yeah, it's a problem. There should be something that saves you, and it's not.
Okay, as somebody who's looking at new media or analyzing new media and its societal impact, these laws themselves are something that one would scrutinize, right? Would scrutiny of these laws and comparing them to laws which are certainly more sensible, let's say suppose this gets passed, it's national law now. I am not challenging this in court yet, but I'm looking at it and finding it's very stupid, as you found, and comparing it to really interesting good laws, and I write a paper on it. Am I in contempt of this law in some way or of the court in some way?
Thankfully, at least that's not one thing you'll be caught for. You're not in contempt of the law, etc. But if an agency got really upset about it, maybe they may, there's always room for abuse in any law. Maybe this is one way of doing it, and this law could be used against you. But you bring up an interesting point about international comparisons. One thing that this legislation will do when it comes out will be, it will show the rest of the world that we are not conforming to the international best practice. That this country is a country that does not understand technical aspects of anything that is writing, or at least in this area, doesn't understand IT. We will become the laughing stock of the region. Indians are going to have a field day, and we become the laughing stock of the world. Obviously, because we got the whole thing wrong. And we will not be able to have cooperation with international agencies because the entire legislation is incompatible. And this is a serious issue. Because we then will not be able to cooperate in the fight against terror, we will not be able to cooperate in international prevention of international crimes or cyber crimes, and that's a major issue.